How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode, episode number 9, headed into year number 3, the 2025-2026 regular season. In the last one, we had an eventful offseason as we had to decide, are we moving on from Thatcher Demko? Ultimately, we will not, and I will explain why just for this season. But aside from Demko, we made some other decisions, such as extending Sam Reinhart, the hometown boy, to a 6x6 extension. He's looking great. He had a good first season with us. We're hoping for much more from him. We went out and signed David Perron in free agency, a 2-year deal at $4.5 million. He was an 86 overall with, I believe, top 6 potential. He's now dropped to an 84 overall with bottom 6 potential at the start of the season here. So it is likely that Ratu slots up and takes his top 6 spot before the end of his contract. We just thought that it would be later towards the end of year 2 as opposed to probably halfway through year number 1 or something. But Perron will start the season as second line. Will go from there. Ratu has grown up to an 83 overall. Very good to see. On that fourth line, we made a couple of new additions there as Lars Eller was signed as a depth pickup, 1 year at $1.35 million. And we promoted Danila Klimovich from the AHL, who was a second-round pick back in 2021. On defense, our top 4 remains the same. We brought in Braden McNabb for the third pair on a 1-year deal, paying him $2.35 million, one of the shot block leaders in the league at 91 shot blocking. And between the pipes, you have Thatcher Demko back for 1 more year, finishing off his contract, 1 more year at $5 million. We will either extend and keep Demko or extend and trade Demko, so at least we can do right by him. But after 2 straight seasons of amazing regular seasons and horrible postseasons, it will really be up to him to prove his worth to us. Aside from that, in the last episode, we made 3 selections at the draft, including our first-round selection at 24th overall, Dallas Johnston. We also went ahead and traded for Luke Misa from the Dallas Stars, 74 overall, medium top 6 potential, 30th overall selection in last year's draft in 2024. He was a part of the Niels Höglander trade, so we picked him up from the Stars and he'll hopefully be a part of our franchise moving forward. O'Brien also up to a 75 overall. We drafted him 25th overall the year prior. So things are moving along here in Vancouver. The cupboards were bare. We're slowly restocking them. We're still dealing with the over $4.5 million that has to be paid to the OEL buyout. But I think all things considered, we have a solid squad, especially considering that this team went to the Western Conference Final last year in year number 2. We have our fingers crossed for year number 3. But before we move forward and get started with the preseason and the first half of the regular season, we got to dive into the comments from the last one as the assistant general managers had some thoughts. I don't think there was a ton to say in the last one, but most comments were concerned with David Perron as well as Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Perron, number 1, being, hey, let's keep a really close eye on him. And the other main point was Jonathan Lekkerimäki, the real-world 15th overall pick in the 2022 draft by the Canucks. He's up to a 78 overall. He's listed as a minor scoring forward. We'd love to see him in the NHL sooner rather than later, but I think he'll really have to force his way onto this team because as a roll 3 lines coach, we don't want to see him getting 7 minutes per night on the 4th line. We'd really want to see him on the 3rd line. So I think in a perfect world, Ratu goes up to Perron's spot on the 2nd line, and Perron gets traded in the offseason, and then Lekkerimäki enters the top 9 for next year, 2026-27. But it is possible that he could force his way onto the team, just like Ratu did last season as, what, a 79, 80 overall? He forced his way on. He grew up to an 83. He scored 3 goals and 4 points in 6 games. We gave him a shot, and you know what? A 36-point rookie season, getting not that much ice time, 11 minutes per night. He was very impressive. So this year, he'll see the middle 6. He'll see a little bit of top 6. He's going to see some power play time. We are really excited for Aatu Ratu. But as I said, we want to get into the comments here, starting off with Cheating Heel, who said very good offseason once again. My only concern was giving Perron that 2nd year and seeing how he already regressed and dropped to bottom 6 potential. That 2nd year could be costly. I don't think it's the end of the world, because I don't think it's, at $4.5 million, I'd still say it's a maneuverable contract, but it is disappointing. Lekkerimäki has to either play 4th line with us or be in the AHL. I wouldn't want to delay his progression by having him sit on the bench, of course. Let's see what he does in the preseason and see if he earns a spot like Ratu did, or if we give him first-line minutes in the AHL. Concerning the deep pairings, I would definitely want to try having a +5 with Willander and Hughes on the top pair. Having Hronik on the 2nd pair with a more defensive player like Noah Hanifin could also be good, And if we need to extend both Hughes and Hronek in the near future, I don't mind having one of them being a little bit less productive and, therefore ask for a little less money down the line. So I just paused the comment right here for a moment, looking at the D pairings. We were talking about this last episode. Hughes and Hronek have been the top pair for the last couple seasons now. Hronek, we kind of put him on and off on the first pair last season, but 2 years ago, 54 points. Last season, 46 points. He's going to be needing a new contract within 2 seasons. He's making 6.75 right now. Meanwhile, Quinn Hughes is also on that same timeline, and we know that he'll be asking for like upwards of probably 10 million probably. Currently at 7.85 for 2 more years. Playing top pair. He's always going to get those big numbers. 56 with a bit of a hiccup in year number 1, but 78 points last season, including 21 goals. So we know what Quinn Hughes can do. A +2 with Hronek is great, but he would get a +5 with Tom Willander, so that helps out both players. Meanwhile, Hronek gets to have a bit more of a defensive partner in Noah Hanifin. They get a +1. Maybe he can score maybe 40 points instead of 56 points, thus bringing his demand down a little bit. I think it's a win-win-win if we can make this stick. If the plus minuses are getting whacked and it's not working out, we can always go back to what we had it. But I think to start the preseason, this could be great, especially when you consider how difficult it is to grow the overall of a defenseman. Tom Willander at a +5, getting those big minutes, that could be exactly what the doctor ordered. At the same time, it could stunt his growth, as we've seen, because he's listed as a top 6. We're playing him like a top 2, but he has the elite potential. There's so many different factors going on. For forwards, I would think of it a little differently, but for defense, I say let's just give him the +5, give him the top pair minutes, and we'll see what happens from there. Going back to Cheating Heels comment now, it really is a make it or break it year for Thatcher Demko. We can't have him fall apart for a 3rd year in a row in the postseason. That's absolutely true. Only thing I might look into would be to get a 3rd pair right D with a better fit so we don't get that -1 on the 3rd pair. I'm not sure if that means we'd have to, retcon the Braden McNabb signing, or if we'd be looking at trading a newly extended Carson Soucy. McNabb has great defensive stats and Soucy has a great contract, so not sure which would be the better option here. Again, I think it's something that will sort itself out over time. If the plus minuses become unacceptable, we can explore a deal, but -1s on defensive pairing haven't been the end of the world in the past. Another player we could look into getting as a maroon kind of guy for 12th or 13th forward could be a Corey Perry. You've put this team in a position to be successful again this year. It's now up to the players and coaches to up their game and take that extra step. We are so close to being able to go all the way. If only some of our top regular season players could bring the same kind of performance in the playoffs. Looking at you, Demko and Miller. Go Nucks. Thank you for that Cheating Heel. All great thoughts that we will be keeping in mind, especially putting Willander up on that top pair. Moving over to Vinny's comment, Vinny had some thoughts on Perron, saying, Perron should probably stay because, in my opinion, I think Yanni Gourde, we're saying maybe we should swap him out for Yanni Gourde because that's who we're also thinking about signing, and maybe we'd make like a trade to kind of go back in history. But no, Yanni Gourde has a bit too much trade value, so we'd have to add some sort of draft pick or prospect to make it happen. Plus, we want Ratu to be in the top 6 sooner rather than later, so you know what? It might not be the worst thing to just keep Perron. Regardless, whoever has the middle 6 spot is probably going to be a 3rd liner anyways, and depending on Ratu's performance. So exactly what I'm saying. Great video data, really eager for the next one. Vinny, you read my mind. Thank you for your thoughts. We'll go ahead and end it off now with Gavin, who said, great video data and great job on the Höglander trade. You should definitely target a young 79 overall-ish defenseman to play top pair in the AHL as their defense core is sort of weak. I think we should also sign O'Brien to have some more control over his development. Excited for the next one, and let's go Nucks. Thank you, Gavin. So those are thoughts for the AHL team. Down here in the AHL, we really overhauled the team after 2 consecutive really bad seasons. We signed a bunch of fringe NHLers like Kupari, Anderson Dolan, Foodie, etc. to kind of bolster the AHL squad, but we don't really have anyone that we're developing right now, I have to be honest. Like, we have some like low top 6, medium top 9-ish kind of guys throughout the lineup. On defense, we have Hunter, Brustovic, but that's about it. I don't think there's anyone else we really have growing. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring in O'Brien and get him on the top line with these players. I'm not sure what the chemistry would be, but at least he'd be with high overall line mates. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. It's always a bit risky when you're thinking about player development. Should you leave them unsigned and they develop where they are in their junior system or what? But as a 75 overall, I think he has 4-star shooting. It'll be strong line mates. I could see that being a good thing. On defense, I actually sent down Alexiev to the AHL. He can play first pair with Brustovic, so I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because I called up Jet Wu to be our 7th defenseman in the NHL, excuse me. Jet Wu, longtime Vancouver Canucks, second-round pick in 2018. He has 90 shot blocking, 90 stick checking, 5-star physical. If he's ever going to get a chance, now might be the time. So instead of second pair AHL, where he'd just be buried, let's give him a chance to be 7th D in the NHL. I forgot to sign someone who's 79, 80 overall to be depth, so why not make it Jet Wu? So we're going to call him up, send down Alexiev. That fixes the defense problem for the top pair, and it gives Jet Wu a chance in the NHL. Lekaramaki, we'll see what happens with him. So both Lekaramaki and O'Brien are likely to be AHLers this season, and Oman will be 13th forward. He played most of last year, not in the regular season, 4 games, but in the postseason, he played 19 games, had 2 assists, -5. Yeah, we had some tough times on that 4th line. Also, a few of the comments were talking about the goaltending in the AHL, as Archer Silovs has been in the system for a little bit now. It's been, yeah, he's been playing between Abbotsford and Vancouver for a little while. It's drafted in the 6th round of 2019. He's up to an 80 overall, so I thought for sure we have to trade him. He's not going to be happy. But he is listed as a minor starting goalie. So I would think, especially in a year where Demko's on an expiring deal, DeSmith has 1 more year after this one, it might not be a bad idea to hang on to him. If he was listed as an NHL backup and he was really wanting to get out, that would make more sense. But if he's still a minor starting goalie, then it's okay to keep him as a minor starting goalie. With morale turned off, I kind of go by the role to see what would they be expecting. So if he's still expecting minor starter, we can keep him as minor starter. But if he were to become backup, I would think that we would have to trade him to kind of keep with the storyline of this guy's good enough, he's been in the AHL too long, and he wants out. So all that being said, the lines are what they are to start the preseason. We're going to get Lekaramaki into the lineup as well. I set the power play units like this to just start the preseason. We'll see how it goes and go from there. Willender's going to get some power play time. He'll get some top pair D time. Lekaramaki can probably come in for Maroon, because Maroon, we already know what he is. He doesn't need to prove himself. So if we put Lekaramaki in the lineup, we bring down Podkolzin. He's another guy that we already know. He's already proven himself. We don't need to see a big audition from him. If we go Ratu, Dano, Lekaramaki on the 3rd line, let's see what Lekaramaki can do for the beginning of the preseason. We'll give each goalie a few starts as well. Maybe I'll even call Silovs up for a start just for fun. And what I'm going to do now is just advance 1 day. The scouts went to their new location. I'm going to update the scouting assignments, and then we'll sim up to the first preseason game against the Kraken. All right, that's all done. We're at an interesting point now in franchise mode where in year number 3, the scouts that you can sign are getting into that A and B range as opposed to being C rated. And then the prospects that are available in the draft class are more and more generated and less real. So it gets more and more interesting here starting in year number 3. So it should be a good draft. So here at game number 1 of the preseason, let's see what happens here. It ends 5-1 the final. Very nice. Klimovich adds in a goal as well. Very good to see. +2s from a bunch of different players, very good. Willender played almost 23 minutes and was a +2. Perron was a +1. Patterson, may have been injured there. Only played a minute 37. Yikes. Lekaramaki, 12-11 of ice time, 4 shots. Nothing much from him. Same for Ratu, playing 16-20. Okay. Thankfully, no injuries there. Very good. We'll keep on rolling with the same lines for, let's say, these next 2 games here. We'll do the Ducks and then the Oilers. 6-5 overtime win against the Ducks. Very nice to see. 4 points from Kuzmenko and from Hughes. Plus minuses, +3 from Willender. Very good. -2 from Hronik, though. -1 from Lekaramaki. Perron as well. Ratu, -1. All right. Big 3rd period comeback, and we beat the Oilers 4-3. Very good to see there. 2 points from Besser. Perron had a goal, +2s from Hronik and from Eller. No negatives. All right. We'll make a little switch here for Game 4 of the preseason. Perron has 1 goal in 3 games, even +-. Ratu has no points and is a -1. So we'll swap Ratu and Perron, keeping Lekaramaki on the 3rd line. On defense, Willender 1 assist and a +5. Hronik 1 goal and a +1. So hey, no need to change anything there. And goaltending will get to Smith between the pipes for this next game. 3-2 overtime loss against the Kings for this next preseason game. 2 points from Pettersson, 2 goals from JT Miller, +2s from the top guys. Over 32, what? 32-46 of ice time from Tom Willender. Look at that. -3 from McNabb, though, and some -2s here. That second line and 3rd D pairing not looking good in this game. Eesh. Very good. Another third period comeback as Demko's back in and he gets a 4-1 victory for the Canucks. Pettersson a goal and 2 assists. The top guys really carrying this postseason so far. +2s from a lot of players, +1s. No negatives. Very good to see. Let's try something a little crazy for one preseason game. Reinhart and Miller are going to swap. Let's see what happens there. JT Miller's been doing very well. DeSmith's going to get another start here. Silov's actually, I don't think we can call him up. I totally forgot because we have too many players. We have to send Wu or Oman down, which I wouldn't want to do right now. So 2 more preseason games to go. Tough show from DeSmith as we lose 4-1 in that one. Let's see the negatives here. -2s from Willander, Besser, and Hughes. Come on, Brock. I guess that didn't work out super well. For the last game of the preseason, let's go with the lines that we would think we're starting the season with. So Ratu will go back here, swap with Perron. Unless we give him one last shot here. Perron has 3 goals. Ratu, no points yet. You know what? Let's get him off that second line, though. And let's see what happens on that third line with the Karamaki for one more game. Defensive pairings can stay the same. DeSmith, I think we're done with him. Yeah, tough numbers. Demko will get the last start here, and we'll end off the preseason. Yikes, and we end off with a 7-1 loss against Vegas. The lone goal coming from Jonathan Lekaramaki. Ugly. Plus minuses, -2 from a bunch of different players. So not the greatest end of the preseason, which is also going to affect the overall numbers. In the end, 10 points in 7 games from Quinn Hughes. 8 points from Kuzmenko and Pettersson, 6 from JT Miller, 3 from Besser, Perron, Eller, Podkolzin. Even down the fourth line, Podkolzin, there he is. Klimovich, a couple points from Karamaki, even +-2 points. Don't think it's enough to get him into the full-time NHL lineup. Sam Reinhart did not look great, 2 assists and a -3. Yeah, some ugly numbers here, I have to admit. Thankfully, it's just the preseason. No points from Ratu, so that's why he'll stick on the third line. -5. Yeah, ugly stuff. Thankfully, the game really does treat it as like 2 different seasons, but yeah, not pretty numbers from really anybody aside from our top guys. So we'll try to just shake it off. I'm going to fix up the lineups in the NHL and the AHL. We're going to go ahead and sign O'Brien as well. We're going to fix up the lines everywhere to get the max chemistry and ice time for everybody. So I'll come back in just a second and show you what I've come up with. All right, we're ready to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Here's our lineup to begin year number 3 with the Vancouver Canucks. Kuzmenko, Pettersson, Miller with the +5. Besser, Reinhart, and Perron with no plus on the chemistry. Ratu, Dano, Podkolzin with the +1. And Klimovich, Eller, and Maroon with the +1. On defense, we're going to go Hughes, Willander with the +5. Hanifin, Hronik with the +1. And Susi, McNabb with the -1. As we mentioned, you know, it's tough. -3, -4 wasn't the greatest pairing in the preseason. We're going to give them a chance in their regular season, and we'll go from there. Thatcher Demko backed up by Casey DeSmith. 13th forward, Nils Oman, and 7th D, Jet Wu. Down in the AHL, if you're curious about the lines over here, O'Brien, Anderson Dolan, and Lekaramaki will play on the top line. Lots of chemistry throughout the lineup, which is great. And on defense, the pairings look like this. Silov's backed up by Rodrigue with a few scratches who we'd like to get in the lineup, but they're fringy type of guys who are likely to be trade bait, I would think. But we're hoping for big growth, especially from O'Brien and Lekaramaki, and we'll see if they can jump to the NHL by this time next year. So all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to hop into the first game of the year, which will be against the Chicago Blackhawks, one of our rivals in our series so far. They eliminated us in round number 1 in year number 1, but we beat them in round number 2 in year number 2. So here we are in year number 3, hosting them at Rogers Arena to kick off year number 3 of the GM data era. Perron and McNabb making their Vancouver Canucks debuts. Let's do it. First period, 2-0 Canucks early. Kuzmenko, who's led the team in scoring the last 2 years in a row, opens it up just a minute 45 in, and then Vasily Podkolzin, who fought his way to stay on this team. Hoglander left, Podkolzin stayed, and he gets his first of the year early on. Nice to see. Second period, 4-1 Canucks. Elias Pettersson on the power play. Frank Nazar breaks the shutout, but then Philippe Dano, short-handed, in a slightly reduced role this season. We're thinking no power play time, but still third line and first unit PK, and there he is getting a shorthanded goal on Ilya Samsonov. Shots 25-21 in the Blackhawks' favors, but we're up by 3 here in the third period. Lucas Reichel makes it a 2-goal game as we are still being outshot by a little bit, but hang on to the lead with about 10 minutes to go in the third period here at home in Vancouver to kick off what should be a very strong season here for the Canucks, coming off of a couple great seasons as well. Noah Hanifin gets the empty netter in the first game of his second season as a Canuck, and we'll take the home opener 5-2. Demko makes 35 saves. How do you do? Pettersson and Dano with a goal and assist apiece, and we'll take the 5-2 victory to start off this season. All right, so let's get into some calendar simulation now. And in the calendar, we'll definitely want to go see the Winnipeg Jets, who eliminated us last season in the Western Conference Final. They went on to lose in the Stanley Cup Final. O'Brien, mild concussion, great. 3-2 overtime loss against the Lightning, 4-3 overtime win, 7-3 win, and a 5-2 win. We are 4-0-1 in the first 5 games of the year. By the way, O'Brien had 10 points in 7 games when we signed him at this point in the U.S. development system, so good to see. Now, a rematch here against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg for the first time since the last postseason. First period starts off 1-1. Tom Willander opens it up on Brassois, but then JVR gets the first goal against Demko. Shots tied at 10. Second period, 2-1 Winnipeg as Mark Scheifele gets the lone goal. Shots 22-15 for the Jets, and we're down by 1 here in the third period in Winnipeg, Manitoba. 5 minutes into the third period, no scoring yet. Even though it's not Connor Hellebuyck, Brassois is strong, but Klimovich gets his possibly first of the season, tying it up at 2, but then Cole Perfetti answers right back. 3-2 lead as the Jets once again have a 1-goal cushion. Down to the final 5 minutes, being outshot by a little bit, but we're fighting in the final minute. But the Jets hang on tight. Shots end 34-26, and we take our first regulation loss of the season. Laurent Brassois stood tall, and they get the regulation win to bring us to a record of 4-1-1. Let's keep on simulating now. I don't think there's anything in particular we want to see. Maybe Vegas. We have a little bit of a history against them. We'll see what their record's looking like by that point. 5-2 win against the Lightning after we had lost in overtime in Tampa Bay. We host them and win 5-2. 7-3 win, 5-3 win, high-scoring affairs, very good to see. 7-1 win, then a 5-1 loss. 8-2-1 through our first 11 games. Let's not stop here. Let's keep on going a little bit. Any team that we really want to go see, anyone that stands out. Maybe the Maple Leafs, who are 5-3-2, a little Eastern Conference game, hosting them. 5-4 shootout win, then a 4-1 loss in Chicago. 4-3 loss in Minnesota. 4-0 loss in St. Louis. 5-4 loss in Arizona. Whoa. Hang on a second. And then a 5-3 loss and a 6-4 win. Terrible road trip there. We were what? We said 8-2-1. Then we go 2-5 in the next 7 games. Whoa, 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 la, la. Pump the brakes here. We're 10-7-1, taking on the 10-6-2 Maple Leafs, hosting them here for an all-Canadian matchup in Vancouver. Let's get back on it now after a 6-4 win against the Devils. First period, 1-1. Jankro opens it up, then David Perron makes it ties it back up. Thank you very much. Second period, 3-2. John Tavares, Brock Besser, but then Mitch Marner with 13 seconds left. We're down by 1 headed into the third period. Let's try and get some wins together here. We have to have some resilient efforts. Power play in the third period. There's Brock Besser on the power play. Thank you very much on Robin Lehner between the pipes for the Maple Leafs. Then Dylan restores the Maple Leaf lead. Power play Toronto, and Archibald is going to make it 5-3 now. From 3-3 game to now down by 2, 5-3. That is likely all she wrote. Unless McNabb scores late from out of nowhere. Final minute and a half. There it is. Oh, Carson Soucy. Wow. The third pair. The 2 defensive defensemen carry us in the final 5 minutes as Braden McNabb scores with 3.5 to go. And then with 16 seconds left, Carson Soucy's out there with the pulled goalie. Shots end 36-31, but we tied up at 5 and we're headed to overtime. I think this is as good a game as any to hop into here. We don't usually hop in the regular season, but with a 5-5 tie late in the third, let's check it out. Maple Leafs offense at 97, but our defense and goaltending is more highly rated. A comment from the last one had mentioned, or actually 2 episodes ago, I believe, had mentioned, can we take off the X factors under the players when going into watch? I already did that with the X Factor ability visuals, took that off. But for the broadcast, no, not for broadcast, it would be under the, actually it would be in visual, yes. For the camera, I don't know where I'm going there. I usually keep it dynamic medium, but there have been many who have asked for true broadcast. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of true broadcast because it is hard to see who has the puck, especially in scrambles 5-on-5 play in the postseason. But for 3-on-3 overtime, we could try it out. Is that real, or is it true broadcast legacy now? They're messing things up here in NHL 24. So personally, I do not like true broadcast, but I'm willing to give it a shot here in a regular season episode before it comes to the postseason. If you like it or if you hate it, let me know. I think it's okay. It's just that it's hard to see who has the puck. Sometimes the names get covered up. So yeah, true broadcast legacy is probably what we're looking for here. So here comes Riley into Vancouver territory. Nice blocker save there from Demko. Now in the corner fighting for it. Riley with Matthews gets away. A little shoulder save there. Pettersson looking to break it out. Here's Hughes breakaway for Kuzmenko. The game on his stick in front of the home fans. Kuzmenko stopped by Leonard. Back the other way, here's Marner, a partial break for him. Getting back is Pettersson, but he's too slow. Marner coming in. Good poke check from Demko. And 3-on-3 action. Now here comes Quinn Hughes the other way. Look at this back and forth action. Quinn Hughes, the game on his stick. Once again, stopped by Robin Lehner. Wow. Just breakaways going back and forth. Riley against Reinhart. Miller skating away from the puck. Always a classic to see. Here's Tavares. Ooh, he has a bit of space here. John Tavares coming in. That's stopped by Demko. Well done. Bronick gets hit in front. Tavares stopped again, point blank. Oh, goodness. Nylander. One-timer glove save from Demko on Tavares, and he'll hang on this time. Quinn Hughes tied for the league lead in assists with 19. Look at that. Defensive zone draw here. See, I can't see who's on the dot there. 25, I forget who it is. I'd have to see a bit more closely. Good save there. Good poke as well from Demko. The pressure's on. Oh my goodness, scramble in front of the crease. It's Danault. Of course, it's Danault. But, you know, I didn't get to see the back of his jersey, so I don't know sometimes. Nylander on a break. Another big save from Demko. Nylander once more. This time he scores. Understandably, when Demko's being left out to dry. Thompson's the backup goalie in Toronto. That's crazy. Leonard and Thompson from Vegas to Toronto. That's a tough loss. We get the extra point. Shots end 45-33, so you can't blame Demko. But at least we got the extra point, so thanks Carson Soucy for that. Boy, tough L right there. Tough L. Let's keep on moving. I don't know if there's a game in particular. Maybe let's go see Nils Höglander against the Dallas Stars. Let's go see them before we get into a little more block simulation as opposed to going week at a time. Down in the AHL, we'll just slot people up. Back in the calendar now. Of course, we can't see it because of the good old glitch. Love that glitch. NHL, AHL, there you go. All right, a 4-2 win against the Sabres. Lovely. We'll get this last game in against the Dallas Stars. Before we take a little bit of a pause, we're around that quarter mark. First period here, 1-1. Pettersson opens it up, but then Dadonov ties it right back. Second period, 3-1. Pettersson and Besser. Love to see that. I wonder where Höglander is in this lineup. We're up by 2 here in Dallas. Power plays exchanged for both sides. Extended opportunity for the Canucks, and it's a power play goal from Kuzmenko. Let's call it there. Why not? 4-2 the final, as we'll take another victory, thankfully. So, 3 points from Kuzmenko and Pettersson, but I want to see Nils Höglander 1 assist in the revenge game and a +1. There you go, Nils. Glad to see that you're doing well. And Lars Eller, injured knee. All right, so that is going to be where Oman comes into the lineup. Thankfully, that's exactly where he is used to playing, 4th line center. So Eller will come out, Oman will go in. Not a big deal at all. There we go. He has that postseason experience from last year to boot. Okay, so at this point, we're 21 games in. I think that's a good point to take a moment to see how things are going. As 21 games down, 20 games to go until the halfway point. Pettersson, Kuzmenko, Miller, wow, they're killing it out there. Hughes as well. Brock Besser, hats off to you, my friend. Well done. Keep it up. Hronek, Reinhardt, Perron with 12 points. Okay. Danault, Ratu, see the third line seems to be a bit of a concern. Ratu, -4 with 8 points. Podkolzin, -9. Danault's a -3. He's pretty much carrying the defensive element of that line. Not great. Lars Eller has 8 points. That's good. Hannafin, McNabb. Willander, 5 points. He's averaging 25-26 of ice time per night. That's a lot of work for him. Klimovich, Maroon. They're not looking too shabby. And -5 for Carson Soucy. But a +1 for McNabb. Okay. And goaltending, Demko. Oh, yikes. Demko, yeah. DeSmith looks great as per usual. But Demko is struggling a little bit, I do have to admit. Not time to hit that panic button just yet, but definitely something to keep note of here at the at the quarter point of this third season. Maybe something to think about on that third line. I'm not sure what would really be done aside from Perron coming down. Would we want to promote Ratu? Maybe even promote Podkolzin? I don't know. Perron seems to be doing well. Let's try. Let's give it a shot. Let's see. Not just for let's promote Ratu, but let's try and get that third line's plus-minus back down to earth. And aside from that, I think we'll keep on rolling. I'm just going to go ahead and update the scouting reports, and then we'll get back to the calendar. Oh, and by the way, we currently sit 4th in the NHL, scoring 4 goals per game, allowing 3.33. That's definitely an issue. Power play of 24.1% in 5th place in the league, and penalty kill at 88.5 in 4th place in the league. All right, back to it. Let's sim into the month of December now. We have a little Eastern Conference swing coming up. Up in the Northeast. Woo! Big 9-1 win at MSG. Oh my goodness. Then a 7-2 win and a 6-0 shutout. Woohoo! Wow! After that tough stretch of losses, we now win 5 in a row. All of them scoring 4 goals or more and allowing 2 goals or less. Sheesh! Into the month of December. How about that? Let's see if we can keep up that same pace headed towards the Ducks. Sure, they're 16-6-0. Let's go to the Anaheim Ducks. Let's do it. Lars Eller is back. Oh, I forgot about Lars Eller. It wasn't that long, but the scouting report takes so long that I forgot about him. Oman played 4 games and got 1 goal, was a +3. Hey, why not? Lars, buddy, welcome back. Oman, thank you for holding down the fort in his absence. Back to the calendar now. If I can even see it. No, we can't. You gotta pause it always. Of course, why would it let us see it? So, after all those wins, 3-2 loss, 5-2 loss, 6-4 loss. 3 consecutive losses, then a 6-3 win, thankfully. Do we need to take Eller back out of the lineup here? 16-10-2 is our record here against the 17-8-0 Anaheim Ducks. First period, 2-1 Anaheim. Pat Maroon scoring the lone goal against the team that drafted him, I believe. Am I correct in saying so? Clorin and Duclair scoring for the Ducks. Second period, 6-3. Oh my goodness, Perron scores shorthanded. Hughes gets a goal. We give up 3 power play goals that period. Just call it. We have a little comeback there. 6-5. Maroon scores his second. Hughes on the power play. But we lose 6-5 because of 6 goals in the first 40 minutes. Great. So yeah, Demko not impressing us here. We might have to be making some decisions here at the halfway point. We're getting closer to it. We're at 29 games played. Let's go see them. The Oilers aren't looking great. No one really stands out to me, so let's just get some simulation done. Let's just keep going and see what comes our way. Whoa! Whoa! Stop the sim. Stop the sim. 9-0 loss. No, that is unacceptable. That's closed door team meeting. Unacceptable. There is no way we're continuing to simulate with that having just happened. Whoa. Demko, buddy. 892 save percentage, 3.54 goals against. Yeah, we're going to give to Smith a little stretch of starts here just to see what's happening towards the halfway point. And what about plus minuses that jump out at us? +7, +7, +12, 2, -2, -5. It's gotten a bit better on the second line. -5, 0, -5. It's actually gotten a bit better on the third line as well. The fourth line, too, not horrible. Defense, any trends here? +13, +6, +5, +1. Here we go. -6 and a +4. All right, Carson, your 1 goal is that big one from the slow sim. Let's do this. McNabb and Wu are going to be the third defensive pair. Let's see what happens here. -3. Oh, my goodness. You know what? I don't care. -3, so be it. DeSmith is going to start, and Wu is going to be on the third defensive pair. And let's just make some special teams changes. Oh, actually, well, we should check the percentages first. 4.17 goals for, but 3.5 goals against. That's ridiculous. Are we the highest scoring team in the league? Yeah, we are. And we're allowing the, what, like the 7th most goals against or something like that? Ridiculous. Power play is number 4, and penalty kill 83.5 has taken a dip. So let's fix up the penalty kill a little bit. It's not horrible, but let's fix up the penalty kill a little bit. Let's swap Perron and Miller on the first unit here. Miller can come to the first unit with Danault. Perron can go to the, let's go to the second unit. Why not? With Pettersson. And Podkolzin will play the third unit with Lars Eller. I know that's not ideal for the third unit. Let's try and make that first and second unit a little bit stronger here. Come on now. +4, +2 on the first 2 units. Let's see if 83.5% can improve a little bit towards the halfway point, or if we'll have to make larger changes once we pause. Auto goalie rotate will be turned off as DeSmith is starting for the little foreseeable future here. Let's see if it would be viable to have him as our starter and we bring in another like 82, 83 overall guy, or if we should be just looking at a brand new starter completely. So after losing 9-0 at home against the Flames, we now face them again at home, like 4 or 5 days later. Same situation at home, hosting the Flames, all Canadian matchup. Coming off of a 9-0 loss, we better see some fire in this squad. First period, down 1-0 after 20. Mackenzie Weegar opens it up. Second period, 4-1. There's a little bit of fire. Sam Reinhart and JT Miller scoring 2 goals apiece. 1 power play, 1 shorthanded each as well. Power play, even strength, even strength. 4-1 after 40, thanks to those 2 players alone. I want to see a little bit more of a distribution of the scoring here. Power play goes nowhere. We're up by 3 here in the third period, outshooting the Flames by quite a bit as well, which is good to see. After a bit of a first period scare, we kill off a Flames power play. Good. We want to see that from the penalty killers. Into the final 5 minutes, Huberdeau gets 1 more to cut that lead to 2. Jonathan Huberdeau, passé. Just 1 goal. We come away with the 4-2 victory. Shots and 38-23. Not the greatest to see 2 goals on 23 shots, but better than what Demko had been giving us. 2 goals from Miller, 3 assists from Pettersson, 2 goals from Reinhart. The top dogs continue to carry, and at least we bounce back with a 4-2 win after that 9-0 loss. So back into the calendar now, we'll give the Smith a good number of starts. We're at 31 games played. We have 10 more to go until the halfway point. So let's just move into January and see what happens. I know the Avalanche are a good team, but we don't want to stop every 2 seconds. Sore shoulder for JT Miller. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and... no, it could be Besser or Reinhart up that top line. We'll go Reinhart to give it the +5. Dano can come back to the second line because he's been there before. And I suppose Eller moves up, and then Oman comes back to the lineup as 4th line center. We'll do that. So substitute in all lines, but then I'll make a few changes. Okay, back to it. Thankfully, not a long-term injury. And, of course, it brings me back to the preseason. Okay. Where were we? So 6-4 win, 4-0 shutout victory, 5-3 loss against the very good Colorado Avalanche, then a 4-3 win against the Capitals. JT Miller should be back for the 6th. Let's go see the 7th. Why not? Or the 8th, excuse me. That's when JT Miller should be back in the lineup. 4-2 win, 4-3 shootout win. JT Miller fully healed. Beautiful. We get shut out again, though, with the 2-0 loss there. Back to business as usual. No thank you, Seattle. 2-1 loss. Tight games here. 2-0 loss, 2-1 loss, some shootout games. So we're 22-15-2 here at game 39. Here at game 40, actually. So actually, we'll sim through this one and go see the Penguins game. That will be the halfway point, actually. So hosting the Canadiens, we lose 6-5. Oh, my goodness. All right, the official halfway point now here against the Penguins. We are 22-16-2. They're 14-22-3. Come on now, let's go. First period, no scoring shots, 9-5 for the Pens. Second period, 2-1 Canucks. Hronek on the power play. Ratu even strength. Kubalik gets 1 on former Penguin DeSmith. Shots are 21-15 for the Penguins, but we're up 2-1. It's been a little stretch for DeSmith, as we had mentioned previously, so we'll see what his numbers look like at the halfway point. Sam Reinhart scores to put us up by 2 now, but Sidney Crosby quickly cuts it back to a 1-goal game. The Penguins are leading in the shots, but Podkolzin restores the 2-goal lead as we're now up by 2 into the final 7 minutes. Power play for the Penguins, killed off by the Vancouver Penalty Killers. Very good to see. Final 3 minutes, power play Vancouver, killed off, and that'll be all she wrote as Kuzmenko adds the empty netter. We came back in the shots, actually, ended up leading 31-30 and win 5-2. Reinhart a goal and 2 assists, Podkolzin a goal and an assist, and Casey DeSmith gets 3rd star honors against his former team. All right. So here at the halfway point through 41 games, we're 23-16-2, on pace to go 46-32-4. Certainly a respectable record, but I think we could be doing even better than how we're doing right now. So that'll be why we're pausing now. We'll make some changes at the deadline. Or should I say just here at the halfway point, most likely, unless we want to wait until the deadline. Here at the halfway point, we sit 11th in the NHL, scoring 3.98 goals for per game, 3.32 against. The power play at 27.5% is best in the NHL, and the penalty kill has gone down, correct? It was 83.5? So 83% now. Comparatively, I think we've improved a little bit in league placement, maybe by 1 or 2 spots. But I don't think the penalty kill has gotten better. So yeah, definitely got to keep thinking about the penalty kill. 83% isn't the end of the world, but we'd want to see better. Now, looking at the point totals, Quinn Hughes leading the team in points with 53 points in 41 games, on pace for 106 points. Incredible. Elias Pettersson on pace for over 90 points as well. Very good to see. Kuzmenko on pace to hit 92. Very nice. Also on pace for 44 goals, so there are our top 3 scorers, all above point per game. JT Miller also above point per game, but he missed 6 games due to injury, 40 in 35. I'll take that. Hronek at 37 is wonderful to see, especially with his second pair minutes. His 20:39 of ice time per night is down from last year's 24:58, yet he's on a much higher pace, a higher career pace than he's ever been on. So Philip Hronek, keep it up, buddy. Brock Besser, 21 goals, on pace for 42. That would be incredible. On pace for 72 points as well. Sam Reinhart on pace for 70. David Perron, you know what? On pace for, 56 points? Not horrible at all. Not horrible at all. Philippe Danault at 23 on pace for 46. Aturatu now, 22 points, is on pace for 44. Last season he scored 36 points while averaging 11:08 of ice time per night. We're at what, 3 minutes 50 more per game on average, and on pace for 44 points, which isn't horrible, especially on pace for 24 goals, but I would want to see a little more from him. I want to see him break the 50. 44 wouldn't be disastrous, but I would really want to see him break 50 here, playing in that middle six role, power play time, so keep a note on him. But Colson 18, Willander 14 points and a plus 10 on pace for 28. Very good, over 25 minutes of ice time per night, but hasn't seen any growth yet. Hannafin 12 points, Eller 11 points, great to see. He had a really good season last year with the Penguins, 35 points. This year on pace for over 20 in a reduced role, so no issue with that from me. Then you got McNabb at 8 points, Maroon 8 points as well. Klimovich 6, Susi 3, Oman 1. Now Jet Wu, in the 11 games that he has played, he has no points and is a -2 while averaging 15-21 of ice time per night. Not horrible, you know, Susi had 3 points in 30 games, Wu has nothing. It's not really the points that we're looking at, it's more in EA land that plus minus. Even the giveaways and the takeaways. So Susi, 20 giveaways, 5 takeaways. Wu, 11 giveaways, 4 takeaways, but in about a third of the time. So he's on pace to have more giveaways, but more takeaways, Jet Wu is. So interesting to note. Top takeaway player so far, Elias Pettersson at 61. Very good. He could be maybe in the Selke conversation someday. So they're the point totals. Let's check out the goaltending now, especially Casey DeSmith. Let's check it out. So Demko 15, 12, and 2 with 1 shutout, an .892 save percentage, and 3.54 goals against average. Meanwhile, Casey DeSmith is 8-5-0 with 1 shutout, 907 save percentage, 2.76 goals against average. So he's faced less than half the amount of shots as Demko has, but his save percentage over that time is 907 compared to 892, and he's allowed, what, 0.8 goals against less per game. So maybe we run a little experimentation with Demko a bit more, but the leash keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and we're going to be looking at potential trade partners before we end off the episode. Jack Hughes leads the league, but Quinn Hughes, his brother, is not too far behind at 53, just 6 points back. And if we're looking at goaltenders around the league, just out of curiosity, Brian Elliott, 40 years old, 80 overall, tied for most wins in the league. His numbers aren't great, I'll give EA that, but crazy that Brian Elliott is in that position right now. Oh man, rookie skaters, how about that? Mishkov out there with 39 points. All right, okay. And in the AHL so far, if you want to see how things are going there, Lekaramaki, 30 points in 32 games. Great. O'Brien, 18 points in 31 games. He plays 19.48 per night, while Lekaramaki plays 19.41. So I'd want to see some more from O'Brien, but he does have 11 goals. Okay. And the goaltending, Silovs is passable. All right. So what we will want to do now is check out the trade blocks around the NHL, as we might want to make a move now at the halfway point or closer to the deadline. We currently sit at $1.823 million in salary cap available. The trade value currently looking like this. Interesting that Hughes has the higher trade value, despite Pettersson having the higher potential. Usually it really goes by potential. His high franchise is now locked in at exact franchise. That's very good to see. That's locked in now. Trade values on the team look like this if you are curious. And our draft pick situation, we have 1 first, 1 second, 2 thirds, a 4th, 2 fifths, and a 6th for this upcoming 2026 draft. So let's look around the NHL right now, looking at the trade blocks and sorting by overall. Troy Terry, Anthony Duclair, Ryan Strome, big names with big contracts expiring. We see Cam Fowler, Radko Gudas, even Marcus Johansson, Mr. Takeaway. He definitely dropped an overall as well, 14 points in 41 games. One of the league leaders in takeaways last season. And yeah, he's only at 12 right now. He had 139 last year, but his ice time is very much different. Maybe Marcus Johansson is a depth option, maybe, but Troy Terry, definitely tempting. He sits at 24 points on pace for 48. Yikes. Okay, Arizona Coyotes, we see prospects here with the Coyotes. Boston Bruins, more prospects. Buffalo Sabres, prospects. Calgary Flames, mostly prospects, including Jakub Silfverberg. Hurricanes, prospects, including this guy Miettinen, medium top 6, Julius Miettinen. All right, 6'4" centerman, very interesting. Blackhawks, Seth Jones, Wenberg, Hall, Novak, Eberle, McCabe, Murphy, and Savard. We were thinking about Jordan Eberle at one point, I believe. Sits at 29 points in 40 games, on pace for close to 60 it looks like, playing 16.46 per night on the, not sure what line he's on, even strength. but interesting. The Blackhawks are also a seller team right now, so keep that in mind for an expiring deal. There's other people who have term, but in terms of expiring deals, it really does speak to me. Some prospects on the block here in Colorado. The Blue Jackets have Werenski, wow, Heinen, Ekman Larson, and Goodbranson. Dallas, mostly prospects here, including Benek, who they just drafted. Detroit Red Wings, mostly prospects, including Nadeau, Korpikoski, Caswell. Sheesh, a lot of big names, including Korpikoski, who we really wanted to draft this past year. 19 points in 29 games in the AHL. He's on their block. They are buyers. They're a fringe team. I don't know what we'd offer them, but I would love to get Korpikoski. I'm just not sure what they'd want. Do they need a goalie? They have Husso for 8 years. No, I don't think they need a goalie. Yeah, they have even Kosa and Augustine in the system. No, so I'm not sure what we'd give, but Korpikoski is definitely speaking to me. Edmonton Oilers, prospects, Panthers, Evan Rodriguez and Josh Bailey. LA Kings, whoa, Toffoli, Doughty, Fiala, Kopitar, Kempe, Gourde, Klingberg, Martinez, Lizotte. Lots of big names, some expiring, including Anze Kopitar. He currently sits at, 34 points in 40 games, on pace for over 60, close to 70 most likely there. Still getting his big ice time. Does he want to stick in LA if they are rebuilding? Yeah, they're 16, 21, and 3. They're sellers. Expiring deal might make sense for Anze Kopitar, plus other names on the block here in LA, but just throwing it out there. Minnesota Wild, we see prospects, Lambos, Heights, Stramel, or is it Stramel, but lots of good names, Hemming. Ooh, lots of big names in Minnesota. Montreal Canadiens, Rem Pitlick and company. Nashville Predators, Gavrikov, McDonough, Goudreau, and Nyquist. New Jersey Devils, etc. pieces. Same for the Islanders, but including Cole Hudson. We've seen him a couple times. We have him in our San Francisco Starfleet expansion live franchise mode series. 27 points in 33 games this year in the AHL. Okay. New York Rangers, Larson and Harper. Ottawa Senators, Mathieu Joseph and a few other younger pieces. Flyers, Stahl and Merrill. Penguins, Graves, Letang, and Pedersen. Shoo. The Sharks, Teravainen, Bennett, Paul, Couture, Wheeler, and Burrows. We were thinking about Teravainen when we went after Sam Reinhart. He's an 87 overall, 29 points in 39 games. I don't think we'd have the value or salary cap to really make that work. Seattle Kraken, DeBrusk, Burakovsky, Olofsson, Schwartz. Interesting expiring guys here like Olofsson and Schwartz, I gotta say. Olofsson, 18 points, -10, getting buried in the lineup with 9.5 minutes of ice time per night. Plays third line, but not a lot of ice time. And Schwartz, 2 points in 5 games. He's getting buried as well. So maybe an option, a couple of options in Seattle, but they are a winning team. They're sellers despite being 25, 13, and 3. So I don't know if they'd really want to do that. I don't know. St. Louis, Osterley, Tampa Bay Lightning, a few pieces including Isaac Howard. Toronto Maple Leafs, Evans, Archibald, Fleury, and Zaboral. Vegas, Sam Steele, there he is, and a few other pieces, younger guys. Washington, Backstrom, Strome, Trennan, and Megna. And Winnipeg, we see a few prospects there. All right, so now, quickly what I want to do is just show you any goalies on the block around the NHL, or just teams that would need a goalie, so I'll show you if any pop up. Ranta on the block in Arizona. The Avalanche are doing very well this season, but they could use a goalie. The Stars might be interested in Demko. Francouz on the block in Edmonton. I could see Florida being interested by Demko, as Bobrovsky and Allen are both on expiring deals. Riddick on the block in LA. Gustafsson on the block in Minnesota. Perhaps the Canadiens. As well as Brian Elliott is doing, I'm sure the Rangers wouldn't mind a Thatcher Demko. 41-year-old Marc-Andre Fleury on the block in Ottawa. Very interesting. Good numbers as well. Woohoo, the Flower is still looking good. The ageless wonder. Marc-Andre Fleury would be quite the story. Nedeljkovic on the block in Pittsburgh. It looks like Vegas could use a goalie, and that about does it. So some teams would want a goalie, some teams we could get a goalie from. It doesn't have to be a one-for-one swap type of thing. It could be like a 3-team deal type of thing, or just 2 separate trades. So consider that if we are looking at moving on from Thatcher Demko. I don't want to force a move if we don't have to, but if he is struggling enough that we got to make the move, then so be it. If we were to trade him, I would think that it's a sign-and-trade type of thing. It depends on the team that we'd be trading him to. Should we trade him as a rental to a team, or should we give him a big 8-year extension? He doesn't seem to want much. We could, for 8 years he does, but for 1 year he wants 5.975. Could we extend him for, like, I don't know, 5 years at $9 million or something, and then trade him? Or I don't know, it's too crazy to see 11.95 by 8 years. So I don't know. Or do we even want to keep him? He's performing so badly that we can sign him right now. And at 85%, it would only be like 5.1 million. So as bad as he's been performing, he's still a starting goalie on a cheap AAV, but if he's not winning us games, then we can't keep rolling with that forever and ever. So we definitely have to think about Thatcher Demko. Anyone else that we want to look at extensions on? But Colson could use an extension. We could wait on him. It won't look like it's much. Maybe we could do a little 3-4-ish year type of thing on him. Maybe, but no one else really seems to scream, I need an extension right now, so we can wait on the rest. And I believe that just about does it, ladies and gentlemen. There's the first half of year number 3 with the Canucks. We're doing well, on pace for 46 wins, but there have been some bumps in the road that we want to really clean up before we head into the second half and the postseason. Perron has dropped to an 83 overall now, my goodness. Ratu, he might have to take that full-time second-line role, but if he's not ready for it, I don't know. What do you see as the glaring holes in this lineup? Where should we try to find patches? Who should we try and patch those holes with? What do we think about the defense, the goaltending, the third pair D? Should we fix up anything there? The power play, the penalty kill. As always, remember the power play units look like this, number 1 and number 2, +5 and +1. And on the penalty kill, the units look like this, unit number 1, unit number 2, +4, +2, and unit number 3 with the 0. I know the third unit is the lowest in terms of overall, but it does play the least amount as well, so I don't know if that's the biggest issue, but just throwing that out there. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to watch. Leave a like if you enjoyed the first half of 2025-26. As always, please leave any and all of your thoughts and suggestions down here in the YouTube comments or over on the Discord server, link in the description. And as I always say, if you haven't subscribed already, we would love to have you join the team. We're closing out 2023, moving closer to our goal of 7,500 subs. It's been a great year on the channel, getting a larger community built. We're close to 600 in the Discord server as well. So it just gets that much stronger for every single one of you who jumps on the bandwagon, and we'd love to have you. I'll close it out there, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for taking the time to watch, and I'm very much looking forward to reading all your thoughts and seeing you again in the next one as we march forward into the second half of year number 3 with our eyes set on a potential division title.